Good morning, boys and girls. Buenos dias, muchachos y muchachas. Today is April 16th, 2020. Let's practice today's date. Hoy es, ready? Let's practice 16 de abril, año 2020. All right, I want you to try the date by yourself. Go ahead. Okay, very good. So, I want to start off by apologizing about Tuesday. Tuesday, I had some internet trouble because of the storm, so I was not able to post a video. But we are back at it today. I also had the opportunity to grade some of the exit tickets. So, I'm going to spend the majority of today's video talking about the exit ticket, the first one, because I graded them and I want to talk about it. But let's take a look at our objectives. Our objectives for today are students will be able to learn subject pronouns in Spanish and learn how the word vosotros is used in Spain. So I'm going to teach you today something that I usually teach in half of one class, but I'm going to spend today's lesson completely on it because I think it's going to help you in the long run. It's going to help you to understand this last part of the chapter hopefully a lot better than in class. In class, this is the part of the chapter that is the hardest. It's the hardest because a lot of it goes into it, and you might have heard me in my previous lessons explain that this concept that I'm going to teach you these last couple days for this chapter is the hardest thing I'm going to teach you all trimester. So I broke it down a little more so I can give you guys time to reflect on it and really learn the material. Now, that you're doing now is I want you to take about a minute or two, and I just want you to open up the exit ticket, the very first one, exit ticket number 1. I want you to check your grade, and I want you to see if you can find comments. Everybody should have received comments. The comments are either going to be answers for the exit ticket and or answers plus some additional comments that I may have left. So I want you to just pull that up right now. And you're supposed to be listening to this lesson. So I want you to listen to what I'm about to talk about as far as what you can do when you submit an exit ticket and how to go about fixing your grade or making it better. All right. So go ahead and open up your exit ticket one. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. Now continue. Okay, so hopefully everybody had a chance to open up exit ticket 1 and you saw your score. Now, the easiest way to get to your assignments is to click on the classwork. So one way you can do it is you click on classwork, and when you click on the classwork, I want you to look for exit ticket number 1. And when you find exit ticket number 1, what you should see is that there should be comments off to the side. Okay? Let me do something quick here. If you go to exit ticket number 1, all right, when you go to your assignment, like let's say I go to classwork, right? If you click on this little button here, like let's say I'm just looking at my assignments here, right? If you click on exit ticket number 1, before you click on the actual exit ticket, before you click on this little button here, if you click view assignment, what's going to happen is it's going to bring you to your assignment 1, and you're going to be able to see your grade at the very top. You'll also be able to see comments at the very bottom or on the side. So look for those comments because that's my feedback to you. Now, let's take a look at something. Let's take a look at the exit ticket. This was the exit ticket. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was a little disappointed to see that some of you were using Google Translate. And I'm disappointed because, first of all, it's cheating. So you're only cheating yourself. I'm going to be straight with you. It's cheating. All right? And I also don't like it because you if you use Google Translate, you actually took extra steps that you didn't need to take, and you made yourself you you were trying to take the easy way out, but you only make work harder for yourself. To be honest with you, this is how you should go about it. Let's take a look at why or how I can tell that you used Google Translate. The first word is ambicioso. If you were listening to the lessons, I told you that the easiest way to learn that word is to look at it and to see that it is a cognate. It looks just like the word ambitious. So for the first one, if you remember that from video, ambitious, right? Okay, now here's where the issue happened. This is how I found out that that some of you, not most of you did exactly what I was looking for. But some of you decided to use Google Translate, and this is how I found out. And this is how I'm going to find out. Okay? Look at the second word, seria. If you decided to use Google Translate, let's say you didn't know what this word was. It's called academic integrity. Let's say you decided to use Google Translate, and I don't know what this word is, seria. So I'm going to go to Google. I'm going to type in seria in Spanish. And the first thing that comes up is, oh, would be. So what I saw was a lot of people were just doing this. Now, two things here. Let me go back to this one. Let's say that I spelt it like this. I'm not going to count spelling too much. I'm not going to be too harsh on spelling. If you're really close to the word, I'll give it to you. But please check your spelling, obviously, right? Now, obviously, this is not what the word seria means. There are multiple meanings for this word seria. And because you decided to use Google Translate, and I warned you against this, you got the wrong definition for the word seria. Seria can also mean would be, but in a different way. Sería difícil. It would be hard. Sería por la mañana. It would be in the morning. But that's not what I taught you. I taught you descriptive words. So, would be would have been incorrect. You would have gotten that one incorrect. Another one that came up was this one, alto. Literally, all you had to do was go to one of the first lessons. In the very beginning, I go over, and in fact, the last lesson I go over the words with you, one at a time. So you really don't have any excuses to use Google Translate. If you're using Google Translate, I can think of two reasons why you did it. One, you just didn't want to study the words. You were being lazy. Or two, you were in a rush to get the assignment in on time. Now, both things I can understand. That might happen to you. But it's really just it's gonna come back to haunt you, to be honest with you. I don't put these answers here and I don't choose these words to try to trick you. I don't have anything against Google Translate. What I do have against Google Translate is that it's a shortcut. And if you decide to take shortcuts, a lot of times it's not what I'm looking for, especially with this stuff. So another example is alto. Alto means tall. If you use Google Translate and you didn't study your words, you get this one. You get high. We didn't talk about high or low. We talked about tall, the second one. So how do I know you're using Google Translate? Because I can just tell. All right. I got to give a shout out, by the way, to sixth grade. Sixth grade, not seventh, not eighth, sixth grade. Nice job. The majority of you did not use Google Translate. The majority of you got good grades on this exit ticket because you did not use Google Translate. So again, I have nothing against Google Translate, but don't use it. It's not really gonna help you too much when it comes to the assessments. You want to use Google Translate for the lessons, for the practice, that's fine with me. You want to use it to find other words that you don't know, that's fine with me. But again, academic integrity, don't cheat. And just be careful because look at all the definitions for alto. Okay? So, with that being said, when you take these exit tickets, something you can do, and something I hope everybody starts doing instead of Google Translate, it's even easier. I gave you guys these two things. Oh, look at that. It's vocabulary where you have the English words and the definitions in Spanish, or the Spanish words and the definitions in English. So let's go back. Let's say I'm trying to work on exit ticket number 1. I have no idea how to do the second one. If I'm studying my words, you literally have all the words right there. And if you go to alto, it's tall. If you go to serio or seria, it's serious. You wouldn't have gotten it incorrect. Now, I'm going to go back and show you this little notice that I left here. All right, I'm going to highlight it first. It says, missing or late assignments can be turned in at any time. So, if I asked you to pull up exit ticket number 1 in your directions today, if you got below a 70% on the exit ticket, you can resubmit that exit ticket with corrected answers for up to a 70. So what do I mean by that? Let me take it slow. Let's say that I answered all of these, right? Blah, 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 whatever, right? Now, let's say I answered these. And here off to the side, or at the very top right, when you look at your assignment, you should see the grade that you got. Let's say that I got let me just write it down here. Let's say that I got a 68. So let's say you didn't do so well. Let's say you got a 50 on it. You can still get a higher grade. You can get up to a 70. But what you need to do is you need to change all of these answers that you got wrong and put the correct ones. So this one I would have to change. This one I have to change. This one, if I got it right, you just leave it. Okay. Now, after you change your answers, okay, you can resubmit it to me. And when you resubmit it, I will regrade it and I can give you up to a 70. Can be turned at any time, but only for a maximum of 70%. So if you got a 50 on an exit ticket, I think it'd be a good idea. I give you the answers, whether you got 100 or whether you got a 10. I will give you the answers to the exit tickets. All you have to do is look at your answers, replace them with the ones that you got wrong, resubmit it, and you can get up to a 70. Also, if you didn't pass in your assignment in on time, you can still do the exit ticket. It's just going to be late, so I can only give you a 70 on it. Tops. So make sure you do it. If you don't do it, you're only going to get the grade that you get. For example, if I gave it back to you and you got a 50, if you don't correct your answers, you don't resubmit it, you're going to get a 50 at the end of the trimester. If you don't turn in your assignment and it's missing the entire time, it's going to be a 0. What else do you want me to do? So you guys have to be responsible to make sure that you're turning in these assignments on time. I give you plenty of time. I gave you 3 days for 10 questions on these exit tickets. It's plenty of time. So I don't want to hear it really any excuses. If you have an excuse, get in touch with me. Send me an email. Let me know. I can try and work with you on it. But if I don't hear anything from you, it's your responsibility. So let me go over this again. If your assignment, and by assignments I mean formative assessments, the exit tickets, these can be turned in at any time, only for a maximum of 70% if it's late or if it's missing. If you get below a 70 on it, all right, let's say you practiced, you studied, but you still got like a 60, you can still resubmit it with the correct answers for up to a 70 on it. Okay? I will post this little notice thing again just for you to know. If you have any other questions about the exit tickets, please let me know. Again, I can tell if you use Google Translate. Do not use Google Translate. It's only going to come back to bite you in the butt. All right? Now, 2 things. Please use this. All right? I don't just give you the notes for no reason. Use it. All you could have done is literally looked at the words for like 5 to 10 minutes before you took the exit ticket. You would have done well. Okay? That's why I give them to you. And today, I'm going to give you this one. These are your grammar notes. So, hopefully, because today's the 16th, your exit ticket number 2 is already due. Hopefully, you try to use whatever notes I gave you and you watch the videos to help you figure them out. If you use Google Translate, again, you're probably going to run into the issue that you just ran into with exit ticket 1. This that I'm going to give you are it's grammar notes. So these are the notes for that word the. You have the 4 of them, and I basically made you a chart so you know which one to use. If it's singular masculine, el. Singular feminine, la. Plural, here they are. And these are the indefinite articles. I'm going to give this to you to keep. Today's lesson is going to be on this, subject pronouns. We're going to start off pretty simple. So keep these notes, and hopefully you're going to use this instead of Google Translate to do your exit tickets. Again, the exit tickets I assign, not that hard. 10 questions each. And I give you notes to study. For the summatives, the summatives are going to be basically the exit tickets put together. Maybe in a different way, but it's going to be the same words, it's going to be the same stuff. So don't get used to using Google Translate. Don't get used to cheating because it's not going to help you in the long run. Okay? Please trust me on this. Now, let's get back to the Google Classroom. I want to go over the directions and then we'll get started with today's lesson, which is really short. So it says, I want you guys to, wait, that's not the right one. Let me see. So it says, you're going to watch today's lesson. Today's lesson is on subject pronouns. And then I have a short video for you to watch. This video is really good at explaining what I'm about to explain today. So I really want you to watch it afterwards. And as you can see, 4 minutes. Not that long. I want you to study the subject pronouns. This is really important. I need you to study the subject pronouns because if you study them, even if it's for 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm going to put 5 to 10 minutes so you guys are not freaking out about it, all right? 5 to 10 minutes, not that long. It's important to study these because, like I told you, the hardest thing I'm going to teach you this trimester is the verb to be. In order to learn the verb, you need to know your pronouns. So this video does a really good job at explaining it. I'm going to go over it, and then I have a Quizlet that you can do to kind of get a little practice going. Now, you can study the pronouns either by looking at the chart and watching the video. That's you studying for it. That's fine with me. If you want some extra practice, I chose a specific Quizlet for you to do. That's going to help you, all right? Now, today's lesson is super, super straightforward, very simple. Let's take a look at what I want to teach you. We're going to start to form sentences because we've learned so far 2 things, really. We've learned vocabulary that you don't see it here, but we've learned vocabulary about describing people and things. So let's say you wanted to do a sentence like, the dog is funny, okay? You already have the word the, okay? El. You might not have the word dog, but you can see we can start to form sentences. Or let's say the boy is tall, all right? El boy can be muchacho, es alto. See how you can start to form sentences? All the words I just said, we've gone over. Now, it is also good that if we're going to describe people and things, that you learn your subject pronouns in Spanish. So, the subject pronouns, when I say subject pronouns, I mean this. I mean I, you, he, she, we, and they. Okay? Those are the ones that you know in English. There's only 5 of them. I apologize. There's 6 of them. Yeah, there's 6 of them. I, you, he, she, we, and they. 5 of them. Anyways, so in Spanish, there are more. Yes, there are more. So I'm going to teach them to you. Let's start with I. I want you to point to yourself, okay? And instead of saying I want you to keep pointing to yourself, and I want you to repeat after me. Ready? Yo. Yo. This word yo means I. So you could say something um, like if you wanted to say what we're going to get to is saying things like I am tall. All right? But we can't do that yet because you need to learn your subject pronouns and you need to learn the verb, which is what we're going to learn tomorrow. So I is yo in Spanish, okay? Now, I'm going to skip over to he and she, and I'll explain why. The way you say he in Spanish is él, él. The way you say she in Spanish is ella, ella. Okay? So what I want you to do to practice is when you say yo, I want you to point to yourself. Point to yourself right now and say yo. I want you to find a he, whether it's somebody in your house, it could be an animal, it can be, yeah, in English it's kind of hard, huh? But yeah, in English, find a he and just say, point to that thing or that he and say él, él. So you can go up to a grown up, your brother, your pet that's masculine, all right? Say él. Point to them, say él. She, same thing. I want you to find something that's a she, and I want you to point to it and say ella. Ready? Ella. Okay. Now, let's talk about this one right here. We. All right? When you have a group of people, that is we. Now, notice how there are two ways to say we in Spanish. We talked about groups of people. If you remember back to the lesson where we talked about the students, there was a group of students, and if they're all boys, notice this ending, os, masculine. Notice this ending, as, feminine. So when you have a group of people, right, if you're including yourself, like we, if it's a group of boys and girls, or if it's just a group of boys, nosotros. Okay, we, nosotros. But if I was a girl, or if it's just a group of girls and you're talking about we, right? It's nosotras. So let's practice. Ready? Nosotros, nosotras. This is how you say we in Spanish. Nosotros, nosotras. Nosotras if it's a feminine, if it's a group of just girls. Nosotros if it's a group of just boys or a mixed group. Okay? And last but not least, let's go to they. Now, as you know, in Spanish, everything has a gender. Objects have genders, people have genders, okay? And almost everything has a gender. That's why I have things like they masculine, they feminine. Because in English, you just say they. In English, it doesn't matter what the gender is. In Spanish, it does. Especially when you talk about objects, and you're going to notice that in the video. She's going to explain it really well. That even when you talk about objects, okay, you have to give them a gender. Or they have a gender. So you have options here. If you're talking about they masculine, then you're going to say ellos. They feminine, ellas. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop right there because you may have noticed that I skipped a bunch of them. What if I told you that in Spanish there are 4 different ways to say the word you? I know. But I'm going to explain this because it actually goes a little bit, it's tied into culture as well. So let me explain it. Again, I'm going over this. The video does a really nice job of explaining it, especially because she uses pictures and stuff. I could have done the same thing, but she uses the pictures already. So you can see the pictures there. Now, when you say the word, like let's say you're trying to say you, right? Okay, the word for you in Spanish is most of the time, 90% of the time, you're going to be saying tú. Okay, so let's practice. Tú. Now you notice here that I put informal and I'm talking about a friend. So in Spanish, okay, when you're referring to you have an option. You could be saying you if you're talking to a friend, okay? Like let's say your friend comes up and you're talking about them, like, hey you, oye tú, okay? But if you're talking to an adult or someone you want to have respect for, like let's say you're talking to a police officer, let's say you're talking to a teacher, your grandparents, somebody that you have respect for, or somebody you do not know well, somebody that's a stranger. Instead of using this one, tú, there is a word in Spanish that we use, and it's called usted. So practice, ready? Usted, tú. So the difference between this you and this you is that this one here is informal. That means you're talking to a friend. You're talking to somebody you know very well. That's when you're going to use this one, tú. Okay? If my best friend walked in and I said, and I wanted to say, you're awesome, I would say, tú eres muy chévere. But I would use tú because he's my friend. If my grandparents were to walk in and I wanted to say, like, let's say my grandpa, um, you are kind, okay? I would say, usted es tierno. All right, usted, because I have respect for him. The cool thing about this word you in Spanish is that it's a word that can change over time. Now, what do I mean by that? A perfect example that I like to give is in school with like teachers. So I wish we were in the classroom so I can really show you guys. But basically, when you first meet me, you want to address me as usted because you don't know me. Okay, I'm an adult. You want to have respect for me because I'm a teacher, and you want to be formal. All right, so you would address me like you would talk to me as usted in Spanish. You would say usted when you ask me a question or something like that. Now the cool thing is, and this can happen to anybody that you get to know, as you get to know the person, as the respect continues, but you get to know the person, they become more familiar. You can start to use this word instead. So in the classroom, first couple of weeks, you definitely would, if we spoke Spanish, you would address me as usted. But as time goes on and you're still being respectful, but I get to know you, you can call me tú. Okay? You can refer to me as tú over time. All right? If it's a stranger, stick to usted because it's the formal way to do it. Okay? So hopefully that explained it a little bit. The video will explain it as well. I'm going to skip this one. As you can see, there's a little star next to it. That's the last one. And as we saw, just like you have a formal way of saying you have a formal way of saying you all. So let's say you were walking down a street and you were referring to a group of, let's say you saw a group of firefighters. You could say ustedes. All right. This one here is not as formal as the one over here. So you can say ustedes to a group of children. You could, because that just means you all. Okay? The one here is formal, and the one here is informal. And again, you can watch this video again to try to understand this. This is a concept that takes a little bit to understand. Like I said, that's part of why this is the hard part of the chapter and the trimester, but it will get easier, all right? Now, the last one I want to talk about, this one with the little star next to it, you all. This is these are words that are used. They're actually really old school. They're really, really old school. They're so old school that the only country that still uses them is Spain. Now, I personally don't like to teach vosotros and vosotras because in the real world, you're almost never going to hear vosotros and vosotras. The only places you're going to really hear it are either in Spain or certain countries still use some form of it. Like if you go to Colombia and you go to Cali, like a specific city in Colombia, they still say vos. Like where my mom is from, they still use vos to refer to each other. All right. Now, what vosotros and vosotras mean is like saying you all, like using this word ustedes, okay, but in a different way. That's it. And I think it's basically like how this one is informal and this one's formal. This is the plural version. You're talking about a group of people that you know really well, you all, vosotros and vosotras, and then this one they use as formal. So this one they wouldn't use with children. They would use just with adults. All right? Now, I know this stuff can be a little confusing. So rewatch it if you need to. One last thing that I'm going to show you about this little chart. I set this chart specifically because if you notice, these subjects, I, you, he, and she, and you formal, they're all singular, one person. If you look at these on the right, they're plural. We is a group of people. You all is a group of people. Group, they, group, you all, group. So this side of the chart, one person or thing. This side, multiple. Okay? And learning this chart is going to help you for this, which is ultimately what we're going to get to at the end. All right? Don't worry about this. We'll go over this tomorrow. So this is what we're going to study the rest of today. Okay? I'm going to attach this for you to look at. Please watch this video. She does a nice job of explaining the subject pronouns. And for extra work, please do a Quizlet. 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 All right, kids. So again, last thing I'll say, that was the end of the lesson. I hope you guys are watching the lessons. I will do more interactive stuff as we go on. You can do this for extra practice. And please, again, I don't mind Google Translate, but don't use it. All right? It's not going to help you. Not in this class. Not too much, especially with the formative assessments. Okay? So be really careful for using those. If you have any questions for me, please reach out to me in my email. Other than that, que tengan muy buen día. Hope you have a great day. Y hasta luego, muchachos. Ciao.